Welcome back to my March reads, or what I read in March. I'm not sure where to look on this camera because I look at the camera there or there. No one ever knows. So if I'm looking cockeyed, it's because I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I read 3 really good books in March, all completely different, but I enjoyed them all for different reasons. So without any further ado, let's just jump right in. So the first book I read was called Indians on Vacation. I don't have the book with me because I lent it to my daughter-in-law. I thought I'd have it back, but it's okay, no problem. I'll pop a picture here. And it was part of our book club, the Star of the North book club. And at first when they announced, because different groups, like I said before, pick the books. And first when they announced the title, they said Indians on Vacation, I was kind of like, is that like politically correct to say India? You know what I mean? I kind of struggled with the title a bit, but I thought, no, before I say anything, let me do some research on this. And the book was written by a North American Indian man, indigenous. Now, I'm not sure if he was Cree Indian. I think he was. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, he wrote the book, and he's wrote another one too, which has the word Indians in the title. So I thought, okay, if it's okay with him, then I guess it's okay. The book was really good, really deceiving. It first started out and continued as kind of a comedy about him and he never said his wife, so I'm not sure if they ever got married, but his common law wife or whatever, they were living as husband and wife for many, many years, so it didn't really make much difference whether they were married or not. But anyway, it was him and his wife, and they were going on vacation, and they were in search of her family's sacred pouch. It was like their sacred items that sort of told the story of who they were as a people. And so her grandfather had traveled all over. He was actually, I don't want to tell the whole story, but he was kicked off the land. He joined the circus, if you can believe it, and he traveled all over Europe. So their quest was to go to all the places he went and try to find this missing thing. The husband was half indigenous and half Greek. So one of the places they went to were some of the Greek islands to see if he could find his peoples. So interspersed throughout this book, this humorous, light book, were his post-traumatic stress experiences of being in a residential school. Residential schools in Canada were a way of pulling Indigenous children away from their family and trying to assimilate them to live like white people. And some of them never saw their parents again. They had to cut off their hair. They took away their names and changed them to like Christian names, like instead of their beautiful indigenous names. And there were some horrible things that happened to these children. So interspersed throughout this book are these thoughts that come into his mind and his demons, I guess you want to say. So it was really well written and really thought-provoking, and yeah, it was really, really good. I recommend you read it. Indians on Vacation. I really loved the book. I did. It made you laugh, made you cry, made you think. Yeah, really, really, and the relationship between the two of them was just so neat. It was really good. So it's different, totally different read. And again, not something I would have looked at, picked up and said, oh, I really want to read this, which is why I love book clubs and book choices. that you don't normally make on your own. And that's why I do these book reviews, so that hopefully somebody will say, oh, you know what, I never would have thought of that. I'm going to grab that book. The next book I read was The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany. Oh, loved this book. And as I was reading it, I would put it down and I would say to Richard, I am loving this book. Sometimes some of the books that I choose to read are really heavy, and, you know, they're just heavy on you. They're difficult and heavy, and oh, this was good. I have this friend on Instagram, and he's a flight attendant, and we ended up being friends when I went to Oprah's, remember when she flew me down to talk about American Dirt on her show, and we couldn't get the show here yet on Apple TV on her book club, and he just private messaged me and he said, I got it and I taped the clip of you on the show, so I'll send it to you. So he sent it to me. We finally did get it in Canada, but at least I got to see it right away. So he goes by Brandon Reads on Instagram, but he's a reader and he's always recommending books, and he recommended this one and the one I'm reading right now, which I will review next month, which are both excellent books. This book is about these sisters, or this Italian family, and it says, since the day Filomena Fontana cast a curse upon her sister more than 200 years ago, not one second-born Fontana daughter has found lasting love. So now we're in today's age, and they look back on their family tree and realize that every second-born daughter in the family, none of them have ever had a lasting relationship in love. So it's so good. The family now is based in New York, and the auntie, she's now up in age, invites two of her nieces, they're all second-born, the auntie, the two nieces, to go back to Venice with her, and hopefully they can figure out a way to break this curse. It is so good. It's such a lovely romance. It's beautiful, beautiful, really nice read. It makes you feel good. It's just a good old book, a good old story. I give it 5 stars. I loved it. The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany, and it's written by Lori Nelson Spielman. And I guess she's a New York Times best-selling author. It's just, oh, what does this comment say? A delicious modern fairy tale, Bella. I could see this being a movie, a really good movie. I could. It's just so good. And when they're in Italy, and the descriptions of the food and Venice and the boats, and it's a really good book. Can you tell I like this book? So if you guys can grab this book, I promise you will not be disappointed. If you just want a book to just escape into, make a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of wine and just get lost in, this is it. Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany. Now, the last book I read, it is, Oprah has now started up her book club reads again, which she hadn't for a while. I was wonder why she stopped, because she had done so many, and then all of a sudden she stopped. She stopped during Black History Month. But I think what she was doing was encouraging people to read books by African-American authors of their choice, and she would suggest some and interview some authors. So I think that was why. So in March, she started up again. And so she's starting with the trilogy by Marilyn Robinson, and it's This is the trilogy right here. There's actually 4 now, but the first one is called Gilead. The second one is called Home. And the third is called Lila. And just of recently, she just wrote another called Jack, which is all part of these. I do believe you can read them separate of themselves. I've only read one, so I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they're each could be read without the other. So the first one we read was Gilead. And although it looks thin, let's see how many pages is this book. It's only 245 pages long. To me, it felt like I was reading a book that was 600 pages long. I don't know how many times I groaned and grumbled about reading this book. Although, how did I describe it? It's like, I don't want to pick it up and read it. But once I pick it up and read it, I get lost in the story. But I didn't, when I put it down, I was like, oh, I think to myself, oh, I got to get that book done. I got to get that book, you know? So then when I was finished the story, I was in tears. This is a Pulitzer Prize winning book. And I was like awful in my comments about this book. I would say things like, oh, it's so presumptuous because it's the Pulitzer Prize winning book, you know. It's supposed to be so good. And there's absolutely no dialogue. Let me show you. There is no, you're not going to see quotation marks of anybody talking. It's like this. And there's no chapters. So what this is a letter from the grandpa, a grandpa, to his son, actually. He had a son late in life. So to his young boy, he's leaving him a letter of his life and thoughts and things like that. And let me read on the back here. It says, Gilead is so serenely beautiful and written in a prose so gravely measured and thoughtful that one feels touched with grace just to read it. Immensely moving. And another, there's a ton of kindness in Gilead, some sadness, and even more forgiveness. Beautiful. Those are probably the best descriptions. This one says, full of suspense and storytelling, a fearless novel. No, it is not that. It is not one where you think, oh, I can't wait to see what happens. No, it's like you're sitting in a room with this grandfather, I keep calling him my grandfather because he's in his late 70s, with this older gentleman, and he's telling you his story at his pace in a very eloquent, graceful way. And that's what this is. And it just, I found the last, I want to say 30 pages, it got so good. It was just so good. The last 30 pages, then I was like, I get it. And you know, in a world where we're always rushing around and like wanting the book to have, okay, what then happened? What, you know what I mean? Or like a movie where you want something to happen. The book is just happening. It happens around you. And it's like, take joy in the journey and enjoy the everyday miracles that happen around you. And like live in the moment. Be in the moment. And every moment has its own little miracle, and notice them. And I think that's what he's trying to tell his son, and about love and forgiveness and things like that. Like, and it made me sit, like, I'm sitting here in this room and there's these beautiful flowers. Like, let me show you. And normally I would just sort of think, oh, flowers are pretty, but look at the miracle of how all the colors are complementing each other, how they're opening up, and enjoy the beauty or the quiet or the silence or whatever. It's kind of like that. That's the best way I can describe it. And maybe for me, I found that, well, I did. I was like, okay, I get it, Grandpa, let's go. But it's worth the read. And now I see why it was a Pulitzer Prize winner. It's so well written. So the next one is Home, which I'll be starting probably in the next day or so because I just have to finish up this other one. That's really good. The Home. And then the third one is Lila. And that's what Oprah has chosen for the next 3 months, these 3 books. So if you want to join Oprah's book club, just go on Instagram to Oprah's book club. There's no real joining. Just follow along and comment if you want to, or read other people's comments. There's no formal joining the book club. But a lot of people ask, well, how can I join Oprah? There's no joining. Just follow along and read the book she says if you want to be part of the discussion. Or not, and you can read what other people say. So this is the one, it ends, I think, tomorrow, but I finished it last week. And it should not have taken me this long to read this book. And my friend Janet said the exact same thing she said. And that Brad said the exact same thing. It's just this slow moving book that you can't read fast. And there's some parts of it, like I found I had to read over again because I'm like, what did he say? Not that it's difficult, but I would just have to go back and read it again. I think 'cause there's just so much written prose. Do you know what I mean? Oh, one interesting thing in here, because I always like to read the comments, or these from reviews from different newspapers. So I open it up and it's got, this is one. It says from the Village Voice, which is in New York. Gilead is a book that deserves to be read slowly, thoughtfully, and repeatedly, which is exactly what I just said, and that's exactly what I did. I would like to see copies of it dropped onto pews across our country where it could sit among the Bibles and hymnals and collection envelopes. It would be a good reminder of what it means to lead a noble and moral life, and for that matter, what it means to write a truly great novel. That's a really good review of this book. And then the next one says, good novels about spiritual life are rare. This is one of the best. That's by Newsweek. And then the next comment, it says, a beautiful work of fiction, a gift. The Edmonton Journal. That's our paper in Edmonton. I was like, what the heck? So yeah, it was written in here. I forgot to say he's a reverend, and it comes from a family of, his father was a reverend and his grandpa was a reverend. So it's the family of preachers. But what that first review said, to read it slowly and thoughtfully and repeatedly, is exactly what this is about. So if you asked me in the first 30 pages what I would have given this book, I probably would have given it 2 stars, because it's like you have to learn to turn on the brakes, slow down, and read beautiful prose. Like, just ramp it back a bit and take the time to immerse yourself in Gilead. Worth the read. So now I give it 4.5 stars. But I give the Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany 5 stars. And the Indians on Vacation between 4.5 and 5. I don't know why I wouldn't give it 5. There's no reason. 4.5, 5, somewhere in there. So that's it for this month. So I'll be, for sure, I know I'll be talking about the one I'm reading now and this one next month. And I'm not sure what I've got else to read. So I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Put in the comments what you're reading. Give me some recommendations of some really good books. And we'll see you next time. Happy reading. Bye.